Welcome to Telco Tuesday, where me, James Dodkins, and Mark Jackson talk all things telco. I've spent my career helping brands like Disney, Lego, Adobe, Nike and Mercedes turn their customers into fans. And Mark has spent his helping brands like Vodafone, Virgin Media, Telefonica and BT use technology to become the telcos of tomorrow. We're going to be discussing topics to help telcos unlock significant business value through successful digital transformation. The conversation is live, raw and unfiltered. Welcome to Telco Tuesday. Hello, welcome to Telco Tuesday. So I'm James Dodkins, and then you've got to go, and I'm Mark.
Oh, and I'm Mark Jackson. Oh, that's right. Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Rehearsed, pre-rehearsed.
Could
you tell? So for those of you that don't know, my name is James Dodkins. I've spent my career helping companies turn their customers into fans. I've worked with brands like Disney, Lego, Adobe, Nike, Mercedes, governments all over the world, airlines all over the world. And Mark?
I'm Mark Jackson, and I've done lots of stuff with telcos all over the world. So yeah, Vodafone, Telefonica, BT, the likes of that. Yeah, maybe we should get seamless on our intro, James, and we can do that thing where you go, he's Mark Jackson and he's James Dodkins, or we can do the,
we need to practice. I mean, don't get me wrong, that was basically a 9.5 out of 10. But
was it really?
Yeah, we can get a little bit tighter, I reckon. Yeah. So what I'm going to say is, people watching at home, say hello in the comments. We are TriCasting, I think that's what it's called. We are on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn right now. So no matter where you comment, it's going to come to us, and we'll be able to read it out and even put them on the screen. So you'll be famous. Yeah. So if anyone is watching, drop us a little comment saying hello. Mark, why don't you start to tell people what we are going to talk about this week?
Well, yeah. I thought we had a good chat last week. Which was pretty good, wasn't it? Yeah. About that good space there. But yeah, I thought, well, what came to interest me? Somebody asked me about AI in customer service this week, so I thought that might be a good topic for us to chat about. I think my thoughts were, I think people understand that AI, machine learning, those sort of things are great for cross-selling and upselling. And people have been using that for, I think, a number of years. I've been involved in a number of telcos and other companies that have been using it, for doing things like reducing churn and all those sort of things, retaining more customers. So I think that's great. But it's an interesting comment: is can it be used, I suppose, instead of in sales, in care? In the service part of an organization. And I know obviously we're here to talk about telcos, but I know your experience is wider than that. I wonder what your thoughts are on the use of AI in customer service and care.
So it's a really good question. And I think my thinking has evolved a little bit on it, because I used to think that it really depended on the type of service that it was. And the way I look at it is there's kind of like two types of interactions that you have with a company. You got transactional ones and emotional ones. Okay. So for instance, changing an address, transactional, just get it done. Yeah. Claiming life insurance policy is an emotional one. Yeah. And I was always like, AI, stick it on the transactional ones, get that stuff done to free up more agent time so they can dedicate their time towards the emotional ones. But what I've started to realize is that even in those emotional ones, there is room for AI to make the agent's life a lot easier, so that they can devote more of their time and consciousness on the call to the customer. So, like, for me, I think, especially now where companies are really trying to, cut costs, they're really trying to deliver the best service to customers, they're really trying to give their agents the best environment to work within. I think there's a massive opportunity right now. Do you think the same?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I've not really thought of splitting service into transactional and emotional. I think it's a really, really good way of splitting it, because like you said, there are certain things that you just want to get done. A home move, I don't know, a new credit card in financial services or whatever it is. You just want to get that done, don't you? And you want it as seamless and as smooth as possible. And I suppose in a way, if we move just broader than AI, that's also the sort of things that you would probably want to digitize quite quickly and easily. You know, somebody can go on the website and go, I want a new credit card, or I want to move home, or whatever it is. You know, it's not quite as simple as that sometimes in telcos with a moving your products from one place to another. But then there are the emotional ones, like you say, I've got a complaint to make. I want to claim my life insurance. You know, why isn't my service working? I want to know this. You know, I suppose you're already in a emotionally charged situation, and you probably, well, firstly, you probably wouldn't turn to self-service anyway for that first. You would probably pick up the phone straight away, or at very least, you would engage with what you believe is a person in a digital channel like chat. You know, thinking I'm going to get an answer here, I'm going to type away and you know, and put my feelings
But
into some
that's
words.
one of the issues, isn't it? Of course. So let's say that I know it's going to be more of a complicated issue or more of an emotive issue. So I go to call in, and yet literally all I'm getting hammered with when I'm on hold is, did you know that you can solve your queries online? And it's like, surely there, and I don't know whether I'm like just overstating what AI can do. Surely there's a way of figuring out, like by looking at my history on the website, my app history, the sort of stuff that I've done as a customer, to know if I'm calling in because really either it's my last option or because it's quite an emotive subject. Maybe don't blast me on hold telling me that I can go and do the thing online that I've just decided not to do or found out that I couldn't do. So
I suppose if you're it's a quite simple thing to know. If you could know that you are genuinely a digital savvy person who does things online, when you're calling in, it's an exception in your customer scenario. And I think maybe that's something that AI isn't used enough of in service situations, is understanding, not just, you know, put everybody in the queue and deal with the next person on, that James is normally somebody who doesn't use this sort of channel. Oh, this is a bit of an exception. Why is this happening? How can we deal with that better? Yeah, maybe that's it. And I know, you know, one of the areas where I have worked with some telcos in the past is putting intelligence and AI and machine learning into the IVR, so that the IVR isn't just dumb. It isn't just, you know, press 1 for this, press 2 for that, press 2, 3 for another. It can do things like order things by what maybe the system might understand, but it also, I suppose, could, you know, give you different options or divert you to different teams based upon what we know about you as a customer.
Yeah. The so I'm in the process of moving house right now, and I'm dreading having to get in touch with all of these companies just to change my address. Because the thing is, it's like, my assumption is I should really easily be able to do that online. But I also kind of expect that half of the companies I'm going to have to do it with, it's not going to be easily done. So I'm going to go online. I'm going to try and do it. It's not going to work. So I'm going to I'll talk to their chatbot. I'll be like, hey, I need to change my address. They'll be like, hey, you can do that on the app. So I'll go to the app, and the app won't remember my details. So, or I have to re-download it or something. So I'm like, I'll forget it. I'm just going to call in. I'm going to call in. They'll be like, who are you? Like, you've been a customer for us for 15 years, but we've got no idea who you are or what you've been doing.
From my phone that you know me on anyway, or whatever it is.
We've got no idea that you've just been browsing our website trying to change your address. You're a brand new person with that. And it's just, I'm going to have to do that for mobile phone, home phone, broadband, utilities, TV, like so many things. I am dreading it, man.
I you know, I haven't moved home for about 15 years, and I imagine it's not one of the, it's one of the, they do say it's one of the most stressful things you do, isn't it? So, and I can imagine all these things. And I imagine, you know, thinking back to when I did it, which was a long time ago, I don't, because part of me would say, you know, well, go on now and go, you tell them that you're going to move in 3 weeks or whatever it is. But I imagine in many cases, the systems aren't set up to that. It'll be, computer says, no, you've got to ring us when you've actually moved. You know, it's like, what? You know, I know I'm moving. I've agreed with the, you know, estate agents, whatever it is, I'm moving on this day. Can't I tell you to change my services on that day? Yeah.
That'd be very good. Do you know what, though? All right. So this is a telco show, not a banking show.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, we should get off.
However, if there's anybody watching from financial services or the banking sector, it would be really easy, I imagine, with AI for a bank to be able to do, especially if it's the bank with your current account and they're doing your mortgage, for them to look through, see all of your direct debits. What it's called something different in America, isn't it? It's not called a direct debit. Was it called direct deposit? When they just take the money automatically, and you don't have to.
You don't have to send
checks to the electric company. But the bank could look through, say, okay, well, these are all of his companies. This is his utilities. This is his TV. This is his phone. Couldn't the bank then get in touch and just do it all for you? Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, could they be almost like the center point of sending out all those messages? Yeah.
It's almost as if some sort of center out technology would be very. That's a Pega joke for the Pega people watching. but that'd be really cool.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, because they're the one place that knows who you're all interacting with, who you're making these payments to. Oh, there's an interesting comment here from somebody, Andy. Can you put that? That's great. Yeah.
There we go.
Do you think too many companies have used AI through COVID lockdowns as the way not to give the correct levels of service to customers? Yeah, almost like as an excuse, I suppose, to be able to say, well, we're too busy. We've got lots going on. We've not got enough contact center agents. We'll have to deflect you. Well, that's a really interesting one.
It's a good question. I mean, nobody using Pega would have done that, obviously. However, there is an airline that will go unnamed, and I was out in Vegas December, and I was coming back, and there was, I won't bore you with the details, but there was a change in the COVID testing before having to come back.
Yeah.
So I go on the website to try and find the information about this. Useless. Can't find it. So I get on the chatbot. The chatbot is like, sorry, we're closed. I'm like, why you're a chatbot? Why are you closed? It's like, have you tried our new text messaging service? I'm like, no, I haven't. I'll try that. So I use this text messaging service that's only open between 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And
probably UK time as well when you're in Vegas. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And the exact phrase, I say the exact phrase, I'm probably getting it wrong, but it was, because of increased demand, we're running a limited service. So I'm going to do that again. Because of increased demand, we're running a limited service. And to start with, I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, no, well, hang on a second. That doesn't make any sense. So you've got more demand than ever, and you've gone, I know what's going to fix this, but have less people there to help.
Yes, yeah. That basically is almost exactly what Andy was saying there, isn't it? Almost using, like you say, when you first said that, I thought, well, there's nothing wrong with that, and then you suddenly read it again, don't you, and go, hang on a minute, this is not right. Yeah. Increased demand should mean that we need to have more service, or provide.
It's like
more.
If you owned a shop and you sold pens, you're a pen shop, and loads of people are coming in to buy pens, and they're buying all your pens, and someone comes in and says, oh, can I buy a pen? He's like, oh, sorry. Because we've got so much demand for our pens, we're buying in less pens. It doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't. But that leads me to an interesting sort of challenge, I suppose, which is customer service or customer care being seen as a cost center, not as a revenue generation center, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah. That's a really interesting topic, because there's like landmark companies out there who deliver really good customer experience, really good customer service. Zappos, for example. Zappos for the Americans. Sorry, I can't say Zappos. It sounds weird.
I got told off from my colleagues for saying Nike the other day. He said it's an American company and we call it Nike. Okay. So yeah.
I don't want to get into a competition, but we did invent the language. But where was it? What was it?
Sorry, what was it? Good. Sorry, good.
Oh yeah, Zappos. And it's the exact same thing. The way they talk about it is they don't see customer service as a cost. They see it as an investment in the relationship with their customers. They realize that if you've got a customer on the phone, you've got their undivided attention for a certain period of time. And that is something that most companies would kill for. Yet we see having phone conversations with customers as an annoyance a lot of the time. And we talk about this idea of deflection. I hate the term deflection because it makes customers sound like a nuisance, like we're trying to deflect, like batting off a fly at a barbecue. I like the term of direction. So not deflection, but direction. understanding the customer really well, understanding the context of why it is that they're trying to call in, what it is they're trying to achieve, and directing them towards achieving it, not just deflecting them. So I think we all need to just change the way that we speak immediately.
And maybe going back to the sort of topic around AI in customer service, that is how AI should be thought of in customer service, which is directing the person in a better, more efficient, more contextual, and more personalized way during this interaction. That is something, like you said, that you want to engage with them during, not deflect. Yeah.
So I mean, like bringing it back to telcos, because this is Telco Tuesday, where me and Mark talk all things telco.
Okay.
Where do you think the biggest opportunity is for AI in customer service in telcos?
Well, it's interesting because if you look at a lot of the things that are happening in the telco market, I suppose I heard on one thing earlier, which was, you said about a home move, and I said, well, sometimes it's not that simple in telco, and that's one thing. There is a lot of technology in a telco. When you move home in a telco, it's not just a simple case of moving your big broadband pipe, which I'm sure you have, James, because you're on the line all the time, from one house to another. They'll have to check whether they've got the same fiber capacity. You might be further away from the exchange, so they might not be able to give it. So they check those things. But at the same time, there is also an opportunity, because you might be going from fiber to the cabinet, which is just reasonably fast fiber just to the end of your street, to fiber all the way to your premises. So you might be able to have super fast fiber, and there might be an upsell opportunity. So they've got to take these things into account, the product availability, as we talk about in telco. So there is a great way to use AI in those situations to say, right, is there an opportunity here to sort of provide the customer with a better experience, and talk to them about, have you thought about, James, during this move, and turn that experience from something that somebody like you is dreading, because you're dreading speaking to your telco and having to get through, into something that gives you a value added experience. So there's that. So
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, embarrassing admission here, I do not have fiber optic broadband.
Oh, blimey.
No,
Yeah, there you go.
don't know why. It's
all
just not
listening.
available.
Yeah, we'll be cross selling you. No, it's availability, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not available. So, and see, I think this would be a great use of AI for broadband, for example. So the provider of my broadband has never, not one time ever, delivered the minimum speed that was agreed in the contract.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
And it took for me to notice and be like, hang on a second, this isn't very good. To have to phone them up and be like, hey guys, have you realized for the past year you've not been giving me the thing I've been paying for?
Mm-hmm.
And then they did something about it, fine. But wouldn't it be really cool if they were proactively searching for people like me that were paying for something we weren't getting, and either putting it right or compensating in some way? It's me having to notice it and then call up and get something done. No matter what they do afterwards, there's always that air of suspicion, because surely just as a customer, my expectation is surely they know there are people out there that they're not giving that service to. And what are they, just sitting there waiting for customers to notice? Are they just hoping that people never notice? So you would imagine, on an ethical level, rolling out AI to be able to find those people and adjust their bills accordingly, that would probably be a really good use. However, there is a business toss up there, because of course,
exactly.
you're saying, let's spend this money to roll out something that's going to make us make less money.
Yeah, true.
But
Yeah,
that's possibly quite a short-term, short-sighted vision.
but even if you used AI to say, to proactively engage with you and go, James, we recognize that you're not getting the service you expect. We're working on a way to get you the level of service that we agreed to provide you. Very sorry. So there is that. It doesn't necessarily need to be, in the first stage, a monetary compensation. It could be just a recognition that you're not getting what you paid for, or you're not getting what was agreed, and that the company are working on it. And I'm sure that would improve your customer satisfaction, or whatever score system they use to do that by.
Probably NPS, if we're being honest.
Yeah, probably being honest, everybody uses that.
Yeah.
But so
again,
the other area that I thought about telcos is that I've done quite a bit of work with them and been in contact centers and those sort of things, and there are a lot of systems that they have to use. Tens of systems tend to be in most telcos. There may be, like we're talking about, there may be a separate system that allows them to. Well, it's historical, I think, or historical. Which is quite an interesting market. Historically, a lot of telcos are mergers and acquisitions of other telcos. Yeah, so they've merged together, multiple systems from other telcos. They may have one system that runs well, if they're lucky, they've probably got one system that runs their mobile systems and one that runs their fixed line systems. So they've got those. They're also, it's a highly technical sale. So you get 3G, 4G, 5G. You often get system upgrades with those. So you've got multiple systems that are either still on the desktops, or you've got agents having to learn new systems, all the time with those sort of things. The telco systems providers that provide the technology often are upgrading the systems just in the same way that any other systems are upgraded. And then, like I said, adding mergers and acquisition onto that one, all of a sudden, I don't know, Vodafone buy Unity Media in Germany and have two sets of systems. UPC and Sunrise merge together; they have two sets of systems. Virgin Media and Telefonica do the same. So you've got all these systems. So you've got telco people dealing with complex products, complex system set already, and then having new systems brought in. So yeah, they've almost got to be like superheroes in that area to deal with it. And I think, AI, the start, there's an emergence, I think, of AI being used to assist contact center agents as well in that experience.
So I suppose like a question from a layman would be, well, why do they keep all these systems? Why don't they just make a brand new system that does all of it? Like, why don't they do that?
And in many cases, a lot of telcos are looking to do that. But the traditional approach to that has been a big stack system, which is from the technology all the way to the customer dealing with that. I think that, there are now standards coming out there where you can break and decouple this, and you can have journey orchestration layers. You can have different front ends for contact center, for mobile, web apps, digital. But having to orchestrate that journey underneath those systems is a key part of that, and using AI to sort of make some of those decisions. When should you look to ask a customer if they're trying to do something that's hard for them to do on the web? When can you use AI to say, actually, call the contact center, or we'll contact you, or we'll call you back because you're having a bad time of understanding this or doing this. But yeah, there's I think a lot of telcos are trying to pull the systems together. It's just never we'll put the new system in on Sunday night and it'll be ready for Monday morning job, is it? There's lots of systems there. So in the meantime, I think the use of those technologies to probably reduce the burden of learning the different systems, guiding agents through. I think one of our colleagues once likened, because I've always thought of AI as being sort of, probably wrongly so, I think, especially in the contact center, either on or off. Like you either agent does everything, or like you said, you go online, you're AI driven, and the system does it for you or helps you do it for yourself. But more and more we're seeing AI helping agents, and I suppose those sort of offering next best action, next best offer type ideas is the first stage of that. But guiding agents through the process, helping them so that they know which systems to utilize at certain points with guided help. Voice recognition systems that can understand the customer, what the customer's trying to do, and guide the systems around the systems. This person's talking about a broadband problem. Let's go into this system and have a look in this system. Maybe systems that can help them write up the call notes at the end so that they reduce the average handling time by 30 seconds or whatever it is and get on to the next call.
Yeah.
Those sort of areas. And it's, a colleague of mine likened it to almost like autonomous cars. AI doesn't have to be, you drive it yourself or the car drives itself. There are big steps in the middle where you've got cruise control, that helps you to make it easier to drive.
It's not like a binary thing. It's not like you're either fully AI or not AI at all. And I like the car analogy, because it is the same. It's not just fully manual cars and fully autonomous self-driving vehicles, there are stages in between that you can either like go through or jump straight to. There's various different blends of the two.
Yeah, exactly. You've got, you go from maybe cruise control to lane assist to, whatever it is, cruise control that's adaptive and follows the car in front, moves your way through the journey to be, you can sit in the back seat with your family and not worry about driving, so that there are various ways of getting there, aren't they? And thinking of assisted service and using AI to improve the life of the agent, and other technologies in contact centers to digitize as much as possible, allows them to have, well, those empathetic conversations you were talking about. You can have that conversation with somebody who's making a life insurance claim because their father's just died or whatever it might be, or get that home move done as quickly and as efficiently as possible because it is a transactional thing that just needs to be done as quick as possible.
Yeah, and I think so. Two things there. The thing you say about the home move, for example, and of course this is like close to my heart right now because it's happening. I think what a lot of companies forget is that customers aren't interacting with you because they want to interact with you. They're interacting with you because they're trying to achieve some sort of goal or an outcome. And so to have that mindset, okay, the customer's trying to change their address. Yeah, that is one thing I'm trying to do, but that's not the end. It's the means to the end, not the end in and of itself. And it's that understanding that there is a higher purpose, there is a higher goal. It's not just one company I'm going to be interacting with. It's many different companies that I'm going to be interacting with on the journey towards achieving that goal or outcome. And it is a different mindset to take completely. But going back to another thing you said about agents, having more and more systems to have to deal with, of course, means more and more training, which means more and more knowledge they've got to hold in their heads. But being able to have AI there that can, basically the AI can be the knowledgeable one, and you can just be the person who's the human one. Surely that's going to reduce training times as well. Like, have you got any examples of that?
Oh yeah. I mean, we've worked with Telco. Well, probably shouldn't name too many of them anyway. But you're right. Reduces the training. The other thing is, by having effectively a centralized brain, shall we call it, that is learning that, what you learn in your transaction as an agent, I can use or utilize in my transaction as a separate agent, and we don't all have to learn the same things. The shared knowledge and shared power can enable us all more quickly and easily. When you multiply that up to a 2,000 seat contact center, the sort of learnings that can be gained from that could be humongous, and the fractions of a minute here and there all add up to saved time or additional time that can be used to help the customer in other ways. It's interesting. Just seen a comment, from Kyla on the list, and it was sort of about the lessons learned. Yeah, and your one about thinking about the customer's outcome was the one that struck me there. The thing that you mentioned there, the customer is trying to achieve something. The customer doesn't really care. They might be quite nice and think you've got a rubbish job, Mr. Contact Center Agent, if you've got to deal with all these systems, but they don't really care that you've got to deal with 15 or 20 different systems. They want to get that home move done. The fact that you need to add the home move into the mobile phone system, the broadband system, and the TV system, and do it 3 times with the same data in slightly different formats, because one has it in this format and one has it in another format, is not their concern. They want to give you my new address, the date I'm moving. Can you move all my services, please? And the outcome that the customer wants is the thing that you've got to try and achieve. So Kyla talked about lessons learned. I don't think it's the one platform thing. I think it's the one journey thing, or the one, customer experience thing that is the area that you've got to focus on.
Agreed.
My learnings.
In your experience, what is AI worst at? What is like the worst thing for AI? What is it just rubbish at?
That's a really interesting thing. I think so far in a telco, I've seen it being good at making offers to people. So what could you be do for, and that's both at, you know, making the customer the first offer to become a customer. So what you want, Mr. Customer, you know, we can do your bundle and those sort of things. I think it's really good at the other end, which is retaining. So once you know what a customer uses and which services they use, you can obviously flex that and change their bundle and say, well, you didn't use much of this, Mr. Customer, but you used a lot more of that. Let's flex your bundle. I'll move you onto this package because it's a better fit for you. So those sort of things, it's great there. I think, you know, it's starting to show signs of being able to help the agent drive through things. I think there are some areas, and I think it will be good in it at the moment, but they're starting to try to use it in its very early days in sort of self-healing, self-learning networks. So the sort of stuff you were talking about earlier, James, you know, don't think it's quite there at being able to say, hey, you know, I'll automatically fix James's service so he does get the quality he needs just yet. There is some early stage stuff being used in that space, and I think it's got some legs. You know, there's a lot of companies putting a lot of work into there, and a lot of that is compute power, because you're just churning through so much data about the network and trying to understand the patterns in that a lot of it. So as we move a lot of that onto the cloud and have data lakes and those sort of things, we are able to process that data a bit quicker and faster. But yeah. So that's probably my areas. Yeah.
There's so for me, there's one aspect of AI that I think is both rubbish and amazing at the same time. All right, you're like, where are you going with this, James? We didn't discuss this. So I'm doing some research for an AI webinar coming up soon. If you want to know any details about that, drop me a little message. It's going to be really good. It's going to be an AI webinar by me and Simon Thorpe, two people that know nothing about AI. So it's bound to be good. And apparently there's like 7 tenets to AI, or aspects, and they are simulating higher functions of the human brain, programming a computer to use general language, arranging hypothetical neurons in a manner so they can form concepts, a way to determine and measure problem complexity, self-improvement, abstraction, which is defined as the quality of dealing with ideas rather than events, and number 7, randomness and creativity. All right. It's randomness and creativity that I think AI is both crap and amazing at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I like finding people who have forced an AI to absorb certain content and then made it to like recreate a version of it. So, for example, I've got one right here.
Go on then. I'm looking forward to this.
So this person, Keaton Patty, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. You're definitely not watching, so it doesn't matter. forced a bot to watch over 1,000 hours of Batman movies.
Okay.
Then asked it to write a Batman movie of its own. And this is the first page, so I'll read it to you.
Oh.
This is simultaneously both going to be the worst and best thing you've ever heard.
We've ever had. Okay.
Right, are you ready?
Go on then.
Right, so I'll set the scene. We're in a traditional Batcave. Batman stands next to his Batmobile and uses his Bat computer. He's sometimes Bruce Wayne, sometimes Batman, all-time orphan. I'm going to do a Batman voice now. Okay. This city is a safe city. I have punched a penguin into prison. Alfred, Batman's loyal butler, carries a tray of Gotham. It's like Gotham.
That's great, isn't it? Is it black?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm going to be Alfred now. Eat a dinner, Mattress Wayne. An explosion explodes. The Joker and Two-Face enter the cave. Joker is a clown, but insane. Two-Face is a man, but attorney. I'm Batman again now. No, it is Two-Face and One-Face. They hate me for being a bat. Batman throws Alfred at Two-Face. Two-Face flips Alfred like a coin. Alfred lands head up, which means Two-Face goes home. I'm Batman again now. It is just you and I, the Joker. Bat versus clown. moral enemies. I think that's supposed to be mortal enemies, but it's AI. We'll give it a break. I'm the Joker now. I am such a freak. I don't really know what the Joker sounds like, so I'm making up a Joker voice. Just go with it. I am such a freak. Society is bad. You drink water. I drink anarchy. And there's Batman again. I drink bats, just like a bat would. Batman looks around. I'm nearly finished, don't worry.
Okay.
Batman looks around for his parents, but they are still dead. This makes him have anger. He fires a bat rocket. The Joker deflects it with his sixth sense of humor, a clownly power. I have never followed a rule. That is my rule. Do you follow? I don't. And I'm Batman again. Alfred, give birth to Robin. So Alfred begins the process since it is his job. The Joker now has a present in his hand. He juggles it over to Batman. Happy Bat Day, birth man. That's what he says. Batman opens the present since he is a good guy. It contains a coupon for new parents, but it's expired. This is a Joker joke. And that's the first page of. Did you like that?
Yeah, I did. I did like the goth ham, I have to say. Yeah,
that was like the first sentence. So everything after that was what, downhill? Was it just a?
It's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, yes, it's.
I wonder if we've got any viewers left. Anyone watching? Did you like the little? I didn't make it up. That is an AI that watched a load of Batmans and then made its own funny little.
You can see a huge amount of truth and correctness in there, but there's lots and lots of quite important errors in it. Yeah. And you think, if you applied that to your business, what sort of important errors would it make if you got that wrong? Yeah.
So I think a lot of it is how you make AI work for you.
Yeah.
And
I suppose in that situation, you would show a situation where AI was left to do 100% of the job, wasn't it? It wasn't left to assist the writer with some ideas and creativity, like we're talking about in the contact center here. Yeah. So there is the element of saying, well, if you go from no AI to AI, this is the sort of thing you get, but being in that middle space where you're using it to improve what you've already got or to make the life of the writer or the contact center agent easier, that's probably a more effective, more efficient way, and you get that sort of, I don't know, 1 + 1 = 3 type answer.
Yeah. So whereas I found that hilarious, it's equal parts good and rubbish.
Yeah.
So, but that's being as no one's commented to say how brilliant my Batman voice was. We can probably start winding up for today. Before we end, what do you think is something telco companies can be doing right away to start either thinking about or starting utilizing AI just to make their agents' life easier and the customers' life easier? What's like the one simple, easy thing they can do right away?
Well, yeah, I think they should start to think about it not as a panacea for everything and a way to help and assist those agents, because I think that's the right way to think about it. And just think of the things on the edges. Where could you make your agent's life easier? Like I said there, could you use some voice recognition to help the agent document the call at the end so that they don't have to spend, 45, 50, 60 seconds typing up some notes that may be intelligible and maybe didn't quite capture the whole conversation anyway, that sort of thing. And it actually, makes their life easier, allows them to get onto the next call quicker, serve the customer better, and avoid things like that. Can it be used to guide them around systems? Like I said, even if it's just pointing at the right system, use this one, use that one. And doesn't have to solve the whole problem for them, but it can help them and assist them and make their day-to-day lives easier. Yeah, I think that's it.
Brilliant advice. So thank you for that. Thank you for everybody tuning in. If you do have any questions that we didn't get to today, feel free to drop a message to me or Mark and we'll get to them on the next show. But I have been James Dodkins.
And I've been Mark Jackson.
Hey, we did it. And you've been watching Telco Tuesday.